Welcome to Solo Solutions, short, bite-sized episodes of the podcast which will help you create strategies to improve your physique, your mindset, your performance, your health, and your business. We all know that action leads to momentum, and momentum leads to big goals. These episodes are designed to give you one key tip or one key strategy to help you push through your sticking blocks and get into the best condition, mindset, or business possible. Hello and welcome to another episode of Solo Solutions, and in this episode we're going to continue with the theme of improving your nutrition and making the most of your diet side of your transformation. I'm going to talk about adjustments, how to make them, how do you know when to make them, and what do you do when it comes to making adjustments. So the first question we've got to ask is, when is it that we make adjustments to our meal plan? Remember that the beauty and the magic of a transformation comes in the adjustments we make throughout the process. Very rarely I've ever worked with someone where I've not needed to make a change and our initial calories saw us through all the way through. In reality, there's a number of reasons why we need to make adjustments. From losing enough weight that what we thought was maintenance calories is now no longer maintenance, making the deficit a little bit smaller. We've got to think about overestimations in those initial calories, because at best it's an educated guess. Underestimations in those initial calories, so that maybe we have the risk of slowing down the process later down the line by losing lean tissue, slowing down thyroid, slowing down testosterone. If losing 1 pound is good, 5 pounds isn't necessarily better. So how do we know when it is potentially too much? We've got to think about things in our health. Are we detrimenting that at the sake of losing body fat? But also we've got to think of tracking errors, lifestyle factors, and just maybe not enjoying the diet, not being able to stay consistent to the initial diet that we thought we could at the start. There's a number of things that might lead us to make a change with our diet. And the most important tool that you have in your toolbox is knowing what the goal is, knowing what the rate of change you need is, and having data to understand if you've actually plateaued, or there's actually another reason why, a simpler reason why you've not hit your rate of loss target this week. Because a lot of us have these crazy expectations of how much weight we should lose. We see these fantastic before and afters on social media. We see someone week 1 to week 12, or week 1 to week 20, and we just see the 20 kilos down. And we get it in our head that we have to lose 2, 3, 4, 5 kilos a week to achieve this goal, when in reality, what many people don't see is that the results came from very small changes adding up over a long period of time. That 0.5, that 0.6 per week, that added up over 10, 20 weeks to add up to 20 odd kilos. And that's what we're looking at here. So the most important tool in your toolbox when it comes to fat loss success is data. The more data you have, the more clarity you can have on getting those results, especially when it comes to body weight. If we're only working off body weight, understand that we're working off a relatively flawed system. Body weight is the first and most common thing that I track with every single one of my clients for very, very good reason. It's simple, it's hard to mess up, and the trends do show if we're going in the right direction. But if we look at what things can affect our body weight each morning, did we eat later? There's going to be more food in the stomach. Are we stressed, having a little bit of water retention? Time of the month for girls, are we having a little bit of that? Have we had a bad night's sleep? Are we, do we have a high carb day and that adds a little bit more glycogen? Could we have built some muscle? There's a number of things that affect our body weight on a day-to-day basis. And if we're looking at especially a weekly body weight, it might not tell the whole picture. So the first thing, the data point that I would expect people to track is body weight, but do it daily. Daily body weight allows you to kind of take away that emotion of the highs and lows. We see the 1 day ups and the 1 day downs, and they even out over the course of the week. And we're going to be looking at a weekly average when it comes to our body weight, and we want to see that trending downwards. The next thing I'd look at is taking photos. At the end of the day, what we are looking to achieve when we're wanting a body transformation is to look better. At the end of the day, if you got to your six pack, do you care what you weigh? Do you care what your waist circumference is? Probably not, because the aim here is to look a little bit better. So taking photos could be a great way to say, sometimes if the weight's not moving, but we look better, this is something where we can go, okay, it's nothing to worry about. But it also shows that we're going in the right direction in the most important way possible. The other one is circumference measurements. If we're looking at circumference measurements, that will then show us, Is our waist coming down? Is our hips coming down? Are our arms getting bigger? And between those 3 data points, that's where we can really start to see, are we progressing at the rate we want to progress? Some weeks the weight might not show what we are thinking is happening. But if you hold in weight but your waist measurement comes down, then you're probably losing body fat. If your pictures don't look better because maybe it's just too soon, like starting in the first month, you just look like a smaller version of the same person. So you might not show in photos. But as you get leaner, those photos might show changes bi-weekly or weekly, or when you're really lean, daily. But early on, it might not show everything. So having the other metrics like circumference measurement and body weight really does give us the whole picture. So when we're looking at those things, what are our targets? General rule of thumb, we're going to be looking at trying to lose anywhere between 0.5 to 1% of your body weight per week on an average body weight. So if you're 80 kilos, that's 0.8 kilos per week. If you're 110 kilos, that's 1.1 kilos per week. So we're looking at that range. Dramatically more might happen in the first couple of weeks, but if 1 kilo is the goal, 3 kilos isn't better. And you run the risk of maybe losing more lean tissue, making the diet harder than it needs to be, crashing and burning because we want to do it quickly. Often the quicker loss, the quicker gained. So remember that. Try and find that sweet spot. If we lose 1% of our body weight per week, let's say you're 100 kilos, that's a 20 kilo drop over 20 weeks. That is absolutely huge. And all the results, all the transformations I've had in my career fall roughly within this marker. We're looking at around about a centimetre drop from our waist circumference each week. If we're coming into this with a little bit more body fat, obviously this tapers off as we get a little bit leaner. So we're looking to see trends downwards in those things, and we're looking at this as a weekly target. So let's say, for sake of argument now, we think we've hit a plateau. Our waist measurement isn't coming down, our body weight isn't coming down, and our photos aren't looking any better. When do we make a change? Do we immediately make a change? Well, the answer is no, because 9 times out of 10, it is an adherence issue that you're not on track. And I'm not saying that you're lying to yourself or lying to your coach, but human nature, complacency is very, very common. And often when people starting, tracking for the first time, they make errors, like learning any skill. What might be really precise, I'm having 110.6942 grams of chicken, by week 4 just becomes eyeballing portion sizes. Are we having most of our meals out at restaurants and we're guesstimating those portion sizes? Are we sneaking in snacks, cooking oil, sauces, milk in lattes? Are we nicking chips off our partner's plate? All these things on their own might not seem like much, but add up to big things over time when it comes to calories. So how do we work out if it's an adherence issue or when it's time to make a change? Well, we're going to look through a process of elimination, approach to this. What is the most important things to look at? What the questions you can ask yourself to find out, is it time to make a change, or is there a simple fix for my weight loss plateau? So, first thing I want you to ask yourself, has your weight dropped below the target? Yes or no? So if it is yes, has our circumference and our photos continued to show progress? Let's say they haven't. So now we know we've hit a plateau. Now we're looking for a reason why or an adjustment. By the end of these questions, I want you to have a clear conclusion about what you're going to do this week. Are you going to make an adjustment to speed up the rate of fat loss? Or is there something on your day-to-day that means you're not adhering to the plan as much as you thought you were? So, have you kept up to date with your tracking of your data? This could be looking at food, portion sizes. Have you stuck to your meal plan? Have you hit your steps? Have you put this stuff into however you're tracking it? Or are you just assuming that you're eating the same stuff and guesstimating it and just hoping the targets match up at the end of the day? Often when I see clients not put data into the client app we use, Keystone, you often find there's something going on. If they're nailing it, most people want to show off that they're nailing it. Most people want to say, look how well I did. It's human nature to want recognition. And it's human nature to shy away from taking ownership and accountability when things aren't going well or when you're struggling. But it's in these times where we need it more than ever. Putting in the bad stuff in inverted commas, the times when we went off plan, is more important than putting the good stuff in. Tracking is not just your highlight reel. It is allow you to show us what's going on, where you're struggling, where you're nailing this, where you need help, and allowing us to help you. Now, if you don't have a coach, having this means that you can ask questions of yourself. You can look back over your week and find the trouble spots. You can find the days you go over in your calories or go under on your steps, and you can look at some of the reasons why that might be. So make sure that you're tracking your data. If you're not tracking your data, then you don't really know if you're progressing or not. First off, does your nutrition line up with the targets? You're putting things into your food tracking app and you've hit your macros. Yes or no? If not, let's work on how we're going to do that. If you are, tick that off. We move on to the next thing. The next thing is, does your activity line up with your targets? Are you hitting the step goals? Are you hitting the cardio goals that you've set yourself? Or have they started to slip off? If you're not hitting them, then what could you do to get close to hitting them? Could you get off a subway station earlier? Could you do 10 minutes of walking around the office every hour? Could you go for an evening walk or add in some cardio after your training sessions? What is something that works for your life that allows you to make that change? Next thing is, how many meals out have there been? Thing with meals out is that you're going to be guesstimating your calories more than if you have control. We don't want to be in a position where we never eat out forever. We want to be in a position where we can be inclusive with our food. But what you've got to understand, there is a trade-off. When you're at home and you can control the portion sizes, you know the amount of calories in it. Having one meal out a week or 2 meals out a week probably won't touch the sides. However, having a meals out, lunch and dinner, 5-6 days a week, will affect the accuracy of our calories. And if we start to see the weight trend upwards, we know that this might be the reason. Do you feel that your tracking is accurate? Is there anything you potentially could have missed? Are you guesstimating portion sizes? Are you weighing out your food sources? If not, maybe this is the time to look back at it again and make sure that our portion sizes haven't crept up over the last few weeks. Is there any issues with your stress, sleep, or digestion? These are things that may not stop weight loss, but these things can mask weight loss. And if we find that this is maybe the issue, maybe we set a goal to sort this out. Something to help with our digestion, a goal to help our sleep. See if that improves next week. If we sort our sleep and the weight still doesn't go down, we need to make an adjustment. But if it does and it starts to go back down again, then we know that was the reason. And then after that, if you go through all that and there's no reason why you haven't lost weight, then it's about what adjustment you make. It's not about if you make an adjustment. So we've come to our conclusion, and what adjustments do we make now? So generally, we're looking at a 5 to 10% calorie drop per adjustment. For girls, I normally recommend losing 5 grams of fat, dropping 5 grams of fat, and guys around 10 to 5 grams. Or if you want to drop from carbohydrates, 30 grams of carbs for girls and 50 grams of carbs for guys. It's important to stagger this approach. We don't want to panic and take 500 calories off. One, you might not need it to. You might have just made the diet harder than it needs to be. But also, if it becomes too much or there's any issues, when in that big 500 calorie jump where the problem started. I would much rather stagger it so we can go a little bit down, see how we are, a little bit down, see where we are, and just stagger it down as we go. I would also interchange food changes, cardio changes, and training adjustments to make sure we can let a change sink in, and we're not just pulling food every week, because there's only so far we can pull food before the diet becomes really too hard to manage. Dropping carbs is an easier change if you eat out a lot, because it's much easier to swap the chips for a side salad than it is to take off sauces and oils and cooking oils. So we can always make adjustments for restaurants. However, if you don't eat out very much and hunger is an issue, dropping fats is often a preferred change because it allows you to keep food volume higher, and it also allows you to keep carbohydrates higher to fuel performance and training and hold on to muscle mass that little bit easier. So, last couple of things here. If you're healthy and you've got a deadline, and your resting heart rate, your blood pressure, your stress, your sleep, your digestion is all in a good place, don't be scared to push. There's a lot of things coming out from trainers that we shouldn't ever push calories hard. And sometimes if you've got a big goal, it's okay to push, as long as you're keeping an eye on your energy, stress, sleep, digestion, recovery, libido, all those sort of things. And that's a topic for a different podcast. But don't be scared to push at times. And if you want to push, there are some things that we could do, talking about like adding fasting periods into a day and blocking our food into certain windows. We could look at days that are low carb, days that are low fat, days that are a little bit lower in calories overall, so we don't have to have a straight stop across the week. Maybe have one really low calorie day to allow us to have a little bit more food in other days. These are one few of many strategies that can help make that drop a little bit easier. Some people mentally work well managing, I can do a big 1,000 calorie day because it allows me to eat 1,900 on the other days and get me that deficit. Some people would rather just do 1,600, 1,700 calories across the week. So work with what works with you, what your motivation is. I hope that's been helpful. And if you have any questions, please follow me on Instagram at Kingsley Dutton, drop me a DM and I'll happily help with your diet. And any nutrition questions, I'm more than happy to answer. Jump on a call, send you a voice note and help you through them. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you enjoyed the show, please leave a review on your favorite podcast platform and share on social medias, tagging me at Kingsley Dutton. And if you want to support the show and allow us to do more of them, this is my passion project and I want to be able to do this much more for you guys and give you much more free content. Follow our Buy Me a Coffee link in the show notes to donate and support the show. See you next time.